I wanted to do a series of videos on the old towns around Rotherham, Barnsley and Doncaster and see how they've fared since the collieries have closed down. So first one I've picked really is Mexborough. So I thought I'd just give you a bit of an intro first before I got on the ground. Just show it you. So we've got the River Don down here. We've got the South Yorkshire Navigational Canal round here. We've got the train station down here, which I take you to. Also take you to the football ground at the end. I was interested in that. So we've got a dual carriageway. We've got Main Street. Then it goes to High Street. Then it goes back to Bank Street. So let's go out a little bit. So you can see the town of Mexborough there. Bigger than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting such a big town centre. So population 15,000. You can look at all this information yourself. 15,000. Industries, coal mining, pottery and glass making. Also notice an old flour mill that was being renovated, which I've got as a short for another time. So there's a town plan coming. I'm not sure if the money's come from Levelling Up or from South Yorkshire Mayoral, but it's looking like the active travel we've seen in various other places, which tends to destroy smaller businesses. But it's very run down, but it'll finish Mexborough town centre if they don't do it right. So pop into the football team. They've had 3 different football teams. One folded before 1903, then they had one in the Midland League for many years up to 1935. Then another one from 62 through to 92. Now my dad refereed them in the 70s in the Yorkshire League Division 1. So they've been Division 1 champions, they've been Division 2. Promoted, had lots of matches in the Sheffield and Hallamshire Senior Cup, etc. So that's 3 different teams at Mexborough. But as far as I know, they've got no Saturday team in any of the leagues. So my shout out is to people from Mexborough, get a team in the Central Midlands League. It's about 17 teams, I think. I'm sure you get to be welcome there and Dino Towns there and get your team back out on a Saturday afternoon and get a bit of a focus in your town centre again. So let's get onto the ground now. So this is a map of Mexborough town centre. It's near the bus station. I'm having a bit of an issue with audio at the moment, so I've voiced it over again. But it should be a much better track, this. So I didn't have my bearings when I first came to Mexborough, so this little map on the wall was a really good starting point for me. So I'm going to pop down to the train station first, but we're on the dual carriageway looking back at the old marketplace. Now that's a pub, and I can't understand why they didn't just renovate the old marketplace, because they built a brand new market. So that's coming down from Conisbrough, where I came in from. I think it's the first time I've ever walked around the town centre. So we're looking at the South Yorkshire Navigational Canal there. Looks quite nice. So I was told not to come to Mexborough, but I was so interested with me coming here in the past with the football. But I also want to record history, and if I can have some influence on history, I'd like to put a positive slant on things. So I'm accused of being negative, but I'm exactly the opposite of it. So we've got the train station here. Still got a fantastic old building. Now behind the train station, I should have got further back, there's actually the River Don. But it shows you how grand Mexborough must have been once. Bit of a caravan park there that I just missed. Probably see the caravan park on the way out again. But it's a little bit harder voicing over, and I've had a tooth out in the last week and I've got a few problems with nerves at the moment. It's healing, it's just causing me a bit of a jip now and again. So you can see it's been modernised to some degree with the modern bus shelters, but we've got the fantastic old train station. I suspect it's one of these automatic places. There's no ticket collectors anymore or whatever. You can't go to a booking office. Now, I didn't walk into this train station, but when I went into Swinton, there was a booking office, but nobody in it. So I don't know what this old building was originally. Somebody told me it had been used for another purpose recently. So we're back on the dual carriageway looking across. I'm not sure when that was all rebuilt, whether that was rebuilt in the 60s or whatever. But we've got a multi-storey. Now, I don't know if the multi-storey was free or not. I did manage to find some free parking. So we come down this big dual carriageway from the top end, come to the roundabout at the bottom, and come back on yourself. And then park. So there you've got the multi-storey. There you can see some normal car parking. Then you've got the market hall and the Poundland building and a row of shops. So we've got the modern bus station. I've seen better and I've seen worse. Now, I thought this was an old part of the bus station frontage that they kept, but it's definitely modern when you get right up to it. It was a bit deceiving. So there you can see the market hall, and there's some steps up from there. Now, I did park on that area because I could find nowhere where it said you paid, but it was a bit difficult to get in. So it all depends what time you come. There you got the modern bus station that looks quite old. There was a map just on the left-hand side on the wall, right across from the bus station. Really useful, that map. We're now walking up to Main Street, and Main Street is pretty grim. And what I'm going to talk about a little bit, if you look at the shops on the high street, I'm not going to pick out any individual businesses, but generally speaking, let's talk about money laundering. And there seems to be talk about Turkish barbers. And what's the money laundering about? What it means is they've got illegal money that they need to clean, so it's being obtained through drugs. So what they have to do is have legal businesses on the high street, or alleged illegal businesses. And people say that Turkish barbers are one of them. There's no custom. So we're on the bottom end of Main Street. I'm guessing it stretched out a lot more. So they have to put the illegal money through the books of these businesses on the high street. So there's going to be a lot more money going through the books than customers coming into the shops. And it's time that was documented, I think, by the police. Or they went through all the shops to find out if people were legal in the shops, you know, if they got a British passport or whatever. And what was going through the books of these companies. But some will just be struggling businesses on the high street. People are just trying to get by. So I'm not accusing any individual. Spoke to a guy at Rotherham and he seemed very genuine to me. He was about to go out of business. So we've got Lynn's Trip here. Now, it's shut at the moment, which is a shame. But it's telling you about the Light newspaper, where you can get one from. Now, the Light newspaper is not a Christian paper, I can assure you. You can pick one up in Sheffield City Centre outside Costa Coffee on Pinston Street, 12 o'clock. About 2 o'clock on a Saturday till 4 o'clock Saturday. Or Chesterfield Marketplace, top end near HSBC. Look for the table on a Thursday and a Saturday, 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. Alan and Chris and them out. But you can just see the state of Main Street. It's grim. It's worse than anything we saw in the miners' strike, isn't it? So it looks like Mexborough's been hit twice. Once when all the coal mining communities shut down around here, and then secondly in the lockdown where it's really hammered smaller businesses. They didn't have the reserves to deal with this. They've never recovered. But I see huge potential for Mexborough. But will the investment that's coming in make a change? It looks like active travel. That's all over Sheffield, Rotherham, all being pushed by South Yorkshire Mayoral. So I'm not sure if the money's coming from levelling up or whether it's coming from South Yorkshire Mayoral. But to me, I don't see the plans as actually helping Mexborough. I think it wants some TLC. I think businesses ought to be able to get money to clean the frontages up and do work on them, sort out the pavements, sort out the roads. But I don't think cycle lanes everywhere is going to help at all. I think I probably saw 1 or 2 cyclists all afternoon. There we got a travel agents. Now I don't normally walk around before I do a video, but I did spend about an hour walking around, talking to people, because I was shocked how big Mexborough was. I really wasn't expecting it to be as big a town centre as this. So I'm guessing this high street went out much further in the past. I mean, they put a dual carriageway around, which I think is probably eaten into a lot of things. Another car park there. But I'm just going to zoom down and start to show you the number of hairdressers in Mexborough. Vape shops, supermarkets. So I spoke to one guy who said there'd been a bust on drugs operation in Mexborough. Now there's a police station I'm going to go to later. There's another hairdresser's. Another police station I'm going to go to. And you never see any police walking around in town centres, do you, anymore? What about building up rapport with the community you're supposed to be serving? Observing or following your actual oath? So we've got a few pubs on the high street, one at this end. Got the original factory shop. Now I don't know when this was all built. Probably somebody can say when some of these buildings were built. But there's some car parking around the back, but I think most of these shops were shut along here. But it's a Thursday coming up to lunchtime. 26 degrees, so I don't know when or if there's an early closing day anymore. It seems to have got fragmented, the early closing day. I don't know if it used to be a Monday or a Thursday or different businesses did different early closing. Pet food supply there. Chippy. Another travel agent, so I'm guessing that's gone. Where I've tried to record this 3 times and my mic wasn't syncing in on the desktop. On the longer files it did it fine, on the shorter files, and I found out there was a mismatch that my mic's 48k and it's set up for 47 on Audacity, so it was going out of sync the longer the video was running. So we got bed and mattress clearance place. There's the original factory shop parking round the back. Got a post office there. So we're just coming off Main Street. onto High Street, which is the pedestrianised area, the busiest area, and the most upbeat area. So this Indian place, can anybody tell me what this building was originally? Was it a pub? Was it a, let's have a think, a bank? Or did it have another purpose? But I don't come into communities when they're down. But Mexborough does need a lift. I'm not too sure that the metropolitan boroughs serve any of us, whether that's Rotherham, Barnsley or Doncaster. The money tends to get spent on the main town centres and doesn't get spent out in the sticks. So there you've got a motive. I really went back to that because the lady thought I was filming, but I was filming above her. And then I just want to make sure I got it for you. But I noticed a lot of bookmakers in Mexborough. Last place on earth I'd ever put my money. I know some people win at the bookies, but the majority of people lose. It's Wishing Well Cafe. But I was told that that's another hairdresser. I think that's another hairdresser. I've never seen so many, 20 or 30. So I was told there was a Boots and a Woolworths in Mexborough, so I put it on the same level as Works Up. So the population's, was it about 17,000, I said on the intro? Population of Works Up's about 40, but this is a big town centre because it's the town centre for all the other towns around it as well. There's lots of towns around it, so I'm going to say it's as big as Works Up town centre because when you add all the other mining communities around here, Dennerby, Conisborough and various other ones, you get in the same sort of catchment area as Works Up. But this is the positive side of Mexborough. It's only going to get better. It's got to get better. Fruit and veg place. Domino's. So we got an Halifax here. Other than the Halifax, I don't think there'd be any other banks in Mexborough. I'm not sure how many banks they've lost. That card zone is closing, which I didn't notice on the day. B&M would have been Woolworths. Now, Woolworths were a fantastic shop. Got all my records from there when I was younger. All the singles and album charts were in it. So we got the outdoor market. Now, I don't know what day the outdoor market is and whether these businesses around the outside are closed or not. So some of them seem to be a sewing type business, but whether they're open or not now, I don't know. So we've got another betting shop. Now, it's not a massive market, but it was clean. It's got some useful shops in it. Not going to knock it, but I just can't understand why they didn't just renovate the original market hall. It's got a bit of an arty place here. And this is how I found out my last video wasn't syncing at this point. Everything was out of sync. So if you're listening to this, it'll all be back in sync. Cosmetic place there. Just in the right hand side was a cafe. So we've got another vape shop here. Another closed hairdressers on the right hand side. Got another barber across there, Superdrug. Nails place. It's a joke, isn't it? We really need the police to sweep all the businesses, look at the work documents for everybody, look at the books, get the inland revenue in, get the council in, and go through all these shops. Like I said, I'm not picking on any individual businesses, but it's got to be going off on the high street. Poundland just on the right hand side. How much longer that'll stay, I don't know. So we've got the Bull's Head just up there, and I've had to guess that's the Bull's Head. That's all it could be. But to me, the money that they're getting, the 10 or 15 million quid, we've got a couple of jewellers, one on either side of the road from each other. The 10 or 15 million quid they're getting would be better off being spent on tidying the streets up and the shop frontages up. So we've got a Staniforth's here as well. Now, I've noticed that Staniforth's closed as early in Sheffield, but it seems to be open later in these market towns because they come back down later. Now, I didn't notice that was the Yorkshire Building Society, wasn't it? That looks like the old Midland Bank if it was. Methodist Church. So I think we're about coming onto Bank Street. But there'll be no banks left on it. But you do have to be careful with the parking here, because some of it's app parking, some of it's machine, some of it's free. I double check parking nowadays. It's not as simple as it used to be, is it? So the roof on this is damaged on this side. But every shutter's down, isn't it? So we're looking at the NatWest closing in June, same time as the one at work. So that's why I'm pitting them together. There's the old market hall. Traditional market hall. So you've got the Montague Arms. Now, I think that's a famous family around here. I think there was a Montague Hospital as well. But a lady told me it was shutting down, and I popped in to have a look. And that's why you see me just looking at it at the moment. So that'll be even less reasons for people to come into Mexborough. Banks were a bit of a draw to towns. So you can see we're not on a pedestrianised street anymore. But it's grim again. It's as grim as Main Street. But I can imagine at one bit, if you came to Mexborough, you could get everything you wanted. I bet there were toy shops here. I think this car park on the right hand side was a app car park. No way do I want to pay with an app. Really don't. I think we're just going too far. So we've got a Bullseye car spares place there. If somebody said to me tomorrow, you can't use the internet, you've got to use cash again, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Now, I was working for HSBC just before they brought the internet in the IT department. They offered me a job in the new internet department, and I said no, thank you. I'd had a mobile phone working in London in the early 90s. I don't particularly like mobiles either. I certainly didn't want to be working in the internet department at HSBC when it set off, because I could see the control. And they want digital IDs now, don't they? I've even took my PIN number, the Wi-Fi off my card now. I have to put a PIN number in if I ever use my card in the shops. But it'd be a lot easier if we went back to cash and there were machines around I could get my cash out of. But it's difficult getting cash now, isn't it? It's becoming harder and harder. When the banks closed down on the high street, why didn't they at least leave a cash machine out there? Because they want you to go digital, don't they? So I don't know if that was a Wetherspoons or not. It looks like a Wetherspoons, but there's nothing on the building to say it's a Wetherspoons. But you can see the car traffic up this end. Cars on Main Street, then High Street there isn't, then back on Bank Street and there's cars again. There's very little up this end to encourage people to come up. But having known Dinnington before the miners' strike in 1984, I know how busy these towns used to be. So we've got a fireplace place here. But we're moving up to the police station now. Tool repair place. Sales as well, beds as well there. A couple of useful shops. Now I saw that on a picture of Mexborough. I thought it looks a bit run down. But Andy Wright told me how run down it was. Said I ought to go to Swinton instead. Well, I have gone to Swinton as well. But to tell you the truth, I thought Swinton were boring. So there we got a car park. So this dual carriageway sort of runs down the side of the town centre. But when you go to the bottom, and the roundabout at the bottom, you've got a Lidl. And that'll take you to Swinton. There's a big industrial estate sort of connecting both communities. But I thought Swinton was a very bland place. I like the canal running through it. But other than that, I didn't see much in Swinton. Just over there, scaffolding on an old flour mill they're doing up. Now, I didn't see it until I was coming back up to leave, so I had to park my car up and do a short of it. But before I got to this roundabout at the top end, as I was driving in from Conisborough, I noticed lots of shops, so I stopped thinking I'd hit the high street because there was quite a lot of shops. And a lady said, no, this is not the high street. So it's got a lot more shops than the high street itself. But once you know, like if I ever went back to Mexborough, I just know exactly where I was now. It's very simple, but when you've not been to a new town before, so just up here we've got another hairdresser's. A closed cafe there. has anybody gone round and counted the number of hairdressers in Mexborough? People must have the best hair in South Yorkshire in Mexborough. So we got the police station now. About time they got out of the cars. If they're not going to get out of the cars, at least get an electric bike and connect a little bit more with the community. 20-mile-per-hour electric bike. But we need a visible police force. They seem to be being used against us rather than for us. Now, I think at one bit, Mexborough Police Station was closed down. Then I think it was run by volunteers at one bit on the help desk and things. So I don't know what the current situation is. So we got a co-op just there. But we're now moving up to the sports ground, which really interested me. I'm noticing these 20-mile-per-hour zones appearing more and more. Now, my dad said he'd come to Mexborough when my niece was refereeing and he couldn't find the old football ground. He thought that's all it was now. And I'm assuming this is where he came. And just on the right-hand side, behind the banking's the football ground, the old one. We'll get to that in a moment. So, same again, I didn't notice this was Mexborough Grammar School. It's a business centre for small businesses. So this is why we ran like clockwork with grammar schools. Everybody was taught the basic things, common sense, proper subjects. So we got a couple of blue plaques on here, which I'll show you in a moment. There's also what looks like a nice cafe in the front area that you can use. So one of the blue plaques, I don't recognise the guy, but on the other one it's Ted Hughes. I know Ted Hughes. I don't know him personally, but I've heard the name. Not heard of Harold Massingham. And there you've got Ted Hughes. I'm sure there are other famous people coming from Mexborough. I never even thought about the famous people coming from Mexborough. But they just don't build buildings like that anymore, do they? Square boxes, Legoland. So behind this wall's a football ground. And you may want to fast forward on this because for some reason I'm hanging around the football ground a lot. Probably because I didn't realise I was going to get a view at the bottom. But it's tidy, Mexborough. I've not seen any run-down areas, but it wasn't actually directly an old coal mining community, was it? There were more around it. So here you've got a football ground, holds about 5,500. Had about 3 different football teams on it. So when I was a kid, my dad refereeing either in the Midland or the Yorkshire League, Mexborough Town. I was stood on the left-hand side terracing. Now I thought it had got 4 sides, but it's got a cricket pitch on one side, but my feeling is probably there were people stood along the other line, and that's why I thought it was a 4-sided football ground. But you can see how far the terracing banks back, but if you want to zoom along to the end bit where I come back through where the pavilion is, you can do, and I'll just waffle on. But you can see corner flanks, so it looks like there's a football match on here. But my shout out is to anybody from Mexborough. Get into the Central Midland League. With Dinnington Town, there's about 17 clubs. I'm sure they can go up to about 22 in that. And get a decent football side going again in Mexborough. It's something for the town to get behind. Football's not the be all and end all of life. But I do think it's a great thing for a town to have its football club. But what I'm a little bit concerned about is, even at Works Uptown nowadays, it's like indoctrination. You can't even cheer your club when they come out anymore. They've all got to come out together. I don't get that. I really don't. We all used to cheer as club, as team when they come out. Now they all come out together. What a joke. So there you can see the main stand. I don't know if that's been a modern main stand. But the cricket pitch was absolutely perfect. And look at the sky, just a couple of clouds in it. The morning before it had been contrail everywhere and it had turned into clouds. But today, other than a few contrails first thing in the morning, the sky had been like this nearly all day. I was going to cycle here, but it was too warm at 26 degrees to cycle. But why I hung around here so long, I don't know. Before I went into the bottom end. So there we've got the pavilion. And there you've got a view from the bottom end of the ground, from the cricket ground. Like I said, the cricket pitch looks absolutely perfect. And it'd be great to see a proper Saturday club back on here, semi-professional.